Coach of the Year, in charge of Gym of the Year, John Wood, Syndicate MMA. Congrats, Coach. How we feeling?
Thank you, man. Yeah, that's quite an honor. You're very, very fortunate and humbling, and it's just kind of still surreal. Hasn't sunk in. That's such a big thing to even get nominated is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But to be in there and to actually win it is like something different. It still hasn't sunk in yet, and honestly, I'm not going to spend too much time, kind of sitting on that. I don't want to get, overconfident, conky, any of those things, and letting those things that sometimes can happen when you start, getting awards and getting, praises. It's just honestly like it's an awesome thing. I'm very fortunate, but it's right back to work. And how do we, the standard is set now of how do you do it again? How do you keep getting nominated every year? How do you keep the team and everything rolling forward? So it's awesome, but it's got to do it again now.
Well, and I guess that's my question almost. And I want to talk about the gym before we get into the rest of the fights and stuff like that. But Syndicate, I've been in there before. Great facility. With this, recognition, so to speak, that you guys get, much deserved. Are there plans to expand at all? Are there plans to, 2027? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's been that way for a while. The plans have always been, we ended up purchasing the building um, a little under a year ago,
That's it?
and yeah, maybe
Wow.
6 months ago. I don't know. I don't think it's been a year yet. Maybe it has, but time flies. Who knows? But the whole goal is to take over the whole, building. Right now, I have tenants in there, but we're working on moving some things and seeing if we can shift some things around. But there's an additional 5,000 square feet there that I want to have here within the next, well, as soon as possible. Like I want to. The gym, when we took that space, the location was an amazing location. We're a stone's throw from the PI. We're on one of the busiest corners and, in frontage property in
Yep.
Las Vegas. The location's awesome. So I took a gamble there that we'd be able to, we when we got in there, I think it was like we went from 16,000 to 8,000, a warehouse to that because I wanted the location and slowly took over the building. And then eventually we're blessed and fortunate enough to buy it. So, the whole end game is to get it up to, the 20,000 square foot facility we want. Then we'll go in and gut the whole thing and redo it properly. How, we'll have a pro side, a side that's just for the pros, a side for the everyday Joes. We're still mingling with everything, but build out the prop, all the little things we haven't been able to do over the years because it
Sure.
wasn't our building. So that's the plan. And starting construction here actually shortly. Redoing lighting, bathroom, showers, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, within the next year, hopefully the gym should look completely different in a good way.
Love it. Excited to get back there and see all the stuff in progress too. But everybody who knows Syndicate and you and our interviews and everything like that, they know you're big fighters, and we'll talk about the UFC guys and all that too. But I want to put an emphasis, especially as someone who works with amateurs and matchmaking and stuff. You have an amateur team. I know you guys had tryouts out there.
Yeah.
You have a lot of up and coming fighters people don't know about. So just for a minute, talk about that. Who are some guys that we're all gonna know soon?
Yeah, man. One thing we've really focused in trying to do different than any other gym that I know of that does it. There's a few over, but we have a member base over 1,000 students of regular people. The regular people we have 75 professional fighters, and then we've got another 60 plus amateurs. We really focused and poured into the amateur team this last 2 years of building that squad up so that we're constantly kind of turned over. Like, the biggest thing, it's great in Vegas. We get so many good fighters coming in, and it's constantly like every week we've got somebody. We got Quillen in here right now
Yeah.
finishing up his camp. We got a bunch of guys that just came in for contenders doing their camps with us. But I really like to build from within. So the whole goal, the whole narrative is to keep the homegrown guys growing and building and filtering from the everyday Joe class. When somebody decides they want to be a fighter, they have a path to go into the amateur class to go into eventually hopefully turn pro.
Right.
Some of those guys, right now we've Cam Sandoval is obviously Cameron Sandoval is the A1 champion. He's 7-0, is one of the guys that I'm probably most high on. He's such a good dude in there in the room. great training partner for everybody. He's a guy that we're just kind of waiting for the call. We got Muhammad Ali is been with us before. He's on the Ultimate Fighter right
Yep.
now, and now with us, and he's having a good run there. So getting him prepared for some things, and we have such a young group of killers in the room every single day. Annabelle Kelly is one of our up and comer females who's getting in there and just had a big victory over the last weekend. Forget what show that was, but we've got so many good people, like I said, that you're going to see in the next, for the future, the next year or two, just coming out of the gym from the amateur program all the way through Syndicate. So that's something we're big on.
From average Joe to Merab. It's a good
Yeah,
story.
that's the. I'd love I'd love to get a few of those in there. That'd be great.
Are you? This is a completely random question. Are you an NBA fan at all?
That's my least favorite sport.
Well, you know LeBron.
Um,
He made his decision. Do you want to know where he went?
what?
Philadelphia, baby.
Oh,
Sixers.
really?
And that's my town. That's the only reason I brought it up.
Oh,
Let's
that's
fucking
big.
go.
That is big. That is big. So I follow all sports, and I follow the big stuff like that. The NBA, man, like we're gonna get a team here in Vegas, and when that happens, then I'll probably jump into it and see.
Yep.
But the whole like kind of related to a lot of people are gonna get pissed off this soccer-ish with the fouls and the touching and the falling and the flopping.
The
I
flopping.
just can't get on board with that kind of stuff.
It
I
pisses
need
me
to have a
off, man.
sport where, yeah, I need to have a sport where guys are crashing into each other, killing each other. Hockey, they're dropping the glove and throwing down when there's a problem. That's more my speed. But and even baseball, man, those guys charge the mounds. You get a good baseball
Yeah.
player, it's good. But man, basketball, I don't know. Like, it's a great sport, athletic, and I actually am looking forward to getting on board when we do get a team
That'll be
here,
cool.
and that'll be my thing.
Well, I'm gonna be a big bandwagon boy this year, LeBron. Let's go. But more
I bet.
importantly, back to you guys in UFC. I think you only have one UFC fighter booked right now, Cody Steele. I think everyone else is maybe in limbo. Is this like
Yeah,
calm before a storm almost?
yeah, no, it's already. I just looked at the board
It has
yesterday.
begun.
Oh, it's begun, and my assistant Emily is freaking out. She's like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Like it's always, it's just we get that lull for about 2-3 months maybe because everybody kind of gets on the same cycle.
Yep.
Eventually, it gets broken up with guys taking short notice fights and things like that. But you get on that rotation and everybody gets booked at the same time, and it's like holy shit. But we were supposed to have Khalil up this weekend. Unfortunately, got some injuries and things that just didn't allow that to happen. He was over there. He flew out 3 weeks early to get ready. Acclimated, and then just some stuff that we were dealing with just didn't allow that to happen. So unfortunately, we don't have that one. Cody Steele is booked. We got a few other guys that are booked that we'll wait for the announcement for
Big
that to
announcements coming
come.
soon, though. Yeah.
We got a couple guys in the contenders that are announced. Hunter Smith is out with us right now, doing his camp. Riddle,
Hmm.
I don't know his last name, but we've got a couple guys that are booked on the contenders that are in camp, deep into camp, ready to go. But yeah, it's starting. The process is starting. There'll be some big announcements here, I think, in the next few days, actually.
Well, let's start with Khalil, just because the most relevant, out with an injury, like you said. I believe the injury is undisclosed. Not asking you to air out any secret stuff there, but any idea like timeline for return? Do we know how serious this is? Can you talk about that at all?
I don't think it's going to be that serious. Fortunately, we kind of, I think, escaped any kind of surgical stuff.
Good.
But for sure, it was a hindrance in camp to where it got to a point where it couldn't really do much. And in a fight that big, man, those are the
Yeah.
decisions that it sucks. And he really didn't actually even want to. He was going to do it. He was full on and had the conversation. He's like, I'm just gonna bite down and go. I kind of made the decision, of like, nah, dude, this is too big of an
Yeah.
opportunity, too big of a situation. You're fighting the number one contender. You might as well be fighting almost for a title at that point in time. Going into that as bad as it was, just there's certain point everybody fights injury, but there's injuries and things that are just going to where it's like when okay, if I don't get this done in a round or 2 rounds, I'm in trouble. It's just not smart. So we sat down, had a talk. He was devastated. It's the first time ever. It's the first time he's ever pulled out of a fight. It's the
Wow.
first time I've ever had to say, hey, dude, I just don't think this is the go. And I promised myself a while ago through some circumstances of watching guys, fight in these situations that I've got to make sure that that voice is heard and my opinion is heard of, hey, dude, I think that there's, better options here. And that's
Sure.
something that, I really kind of tried to do this time.
Well, who do you think gets it done this weekend, Ankalaev or Guskov?
I mean, on the premise that it's a short notice go and you're talking about one of the best guys in the world, you got to go with Ankalaev. Guskov is super tough. Like he's going to come out there and throw down. That dude's down to scrap. So
Yep.
he does have a style. He does have a style that could present problems for Ankalaev. You just don't know. Was he in shape? Was he in camp? Was
Sure.
he getting ready for something else? Was he ready? If it's 2 weeks off the couch, 3 weeks off the couch,
Well, he
you
was
know.
he was booked against Jan Blachowicz, so he's probably in
Oh,
good shape.
yes, yes, yes. You're right about that. So I think that again, stylistically, it's going to be a fun fight. But Uncle Live, I just think has the tools to probably get it done. Still.
I know Carlos Olberg's actually in the building this weekend, probably going to face off with the winner maybe. But if ignoring that, if Magomed wins, even if he doesn't, is that still a potential next fight for Khalil? You think?
Oh yeah, I think when you're in the top five or whatever six,
Sure.
uh, I think anybody is a go. In the top 10, you can see just like this, it can be flip flopped. You know that the rankings are a standard that's not upheld by the system of like
Right.
this guy should fight that guy and that guy should it can jump around, and in the fight business you always have injuries, you always have all these crazy things that are going on. So we've seen guys in the top 15 jump up and fight top five, no problem, top, number one contenders. It's just right time, right place, opportunities. But yeah, I think that obviously he's still on the radar. The fact that that fight has been mixed, it's already been matched. For sure, it could happen again, no problem.
Did you see Zhang Weili's makeover?
Yeah, I actually messaged her about it.
And that was real. Like, what did she say about this?
I don't know. Like, I didn't get too deep into the weeds on that, but I just I posted the mind blown emoji. I don't know, like it was crazy. But she posted more photos with
Yeah.
I think just that the fact of her with hair and it changes the whole perspective of everything. No one, we're not used to seeing her with hair. I don't even remember the last time she had like long hair. So
Yeah.
that in itself is a situation where you're just like whoa. But yeah, I was messaging back and forth with her yesterday or day before, and yeah, that was pretty. That was pretty. Like, I scrolled through that. I didn't even think. I when I saw the picture come up, and I was like, okay, and I just passed
Some
right by.
girl.
And then I saw the internet go crazy about it. I was like, holy shit, that's Weili. Okay.
Someone said Weili should get dressed up like that and go to like a UFC press conference and just do like a secret video, like saying hi to fans, and nobody will know who she is.
That she might fool everybody. I don't know. That was a pretty crazy transformation.
And assuming and I know you guys don't talk all the time. She's not like she comes to your gym before the fights,
Yeah.
not full time over there. So I assume strawweight's next. If that's the case, I guess first, who do you think wins? Gillian Robertson, Mackenzie Dern. Any opinion there?
You know, Julian is so tough and grimy, and her jiu-jitsu is so slick.
Yeah.
It's a really fun matchup actually for this one to watch these two girls kind of go at it. Uh, I feel like when you have two girls that are that good at jiu-jitsu, it might nullify each other, and we end up with a stand-up fight. That happens a lot, So I think it's going to come down to who's got the edge in the boxing and the wrestling aspects, kickboxing. So it really is a interesting matchup. Mackenzie has looked great and world class, and Jillian's just been whooping people's asses for years quietly, and now finally getting that jump and that push. That's awesome for her. Um, I don't know. I think it's a very evenly matched. I really couldn't pick. I maybe lean to Mackenzie a little bit more just because of the experience
Sure.
and she's fought some of obviously the top people at this point in time and she holds the belt. So but man, Gillian's been, like I said, she's been hungry and been at it and just quietly just smoking people over the years. So it's really cool to finally see her get the chance. But I don't know, it's kind of a toss up in that one, to be honest.
I saw Wiz Khalifa in the building.
Yeah.
How often does this happen? Was this like a one time thing?
So one of my fighters, Patrick Cornett, is a
Mhm.
DJ and he DJs with them, and he,
Ah,
he obviously uh, he comes into town, but he trains a lot. So he came in, he spends a lot of time, and they've got some residencies, or not, I don't know if they have residencies, but they do a lot of things out here in Vegas. So he's looking for a place to train. So basically, Pat hit me up one day and said, "Hey, do you want to train Wiz tomorrow?" I was like, sure. Like, and so it's a typical Vegas day. You just you just never know what's gonna happen. Just so many people all the time coming in and coming out. But yeah, he brought his whole squad in. We did a session and it went great, man. And that dude, he's legit. He is honestly like he can whoop some ass, man. Like
that that's what I was gonna
he's
ask. Like, you put Wiz Khalifa in an amateur debut. Does he do well?
yeah, I think so. Now, I don't know, what kind of amateur we're talking about, MMA or just
Well, I
kickboxing?
don't know. I guess he's mainly a kickboxer, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he's got any ground base, but I'll tell you what, in an amateur stand-up fight, absolutely. He's it's legit. He's real. There's a guy like that. He's like 6'4", 6'5",
Yeah.
lanky, long, fast, hits pretty good. He's flexible. Yeah, you can tell he's been training for a long time. I've seen him in other camps and with really good people over the years and in Thailand, and he spends time. He's actually into it, and you can tell. And man, he's athletic. He picked up everything we were going, and we just start flying there at the end, and it was fun. But he's the real deal.
He get any rounds with anyone fun in particular, or just mainly work with you?
I think he was moving around with Patrick a little bit, but we
Yeah.
weren't sparring anything. We just kind of got into the first, hey, how you doing, and make sure that we had a good flow, and that happened. But supposedly, when he's in Vegas, we're gonna do it again, and we'll see where it goes. Maybe I'll get him into the fight game.
Let's do it. Two left, and then I'll get you out of here, Coach. Appreciate
No
the time.
worries.
Just because of Khalil light heavyweight, gotta know your thoughts on Robert Whittaker's light heavyweight debut. Or are you as critical as Joe Rogan was per se?
Listen, Robert Whittaker is one of the most talented fighters that there has been. His skill set is great. He's going to be a smaller light heavyweight no matter what. But the same thing with Khalil. Khalil's not a giant,
Sure.
light heavyweight either. These guys, if you're under 6'2", you're kind of on the lower end of the light heavyweight thing. So you're going to have to use your speed. You're going to have to use your agility and ability. I thought, that was a good matchup for Robert, and I think obviously, Krylov's a big dude. He's a big dude, so
Yep.
it wasn't overmatched. It wasn't like overwhelming. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And I think that guy is. People come up in different times, and he had his moment, and then obviously Izzy ran in, came in, and then when you're in the same era of somebody like that, it's tough to
Yeah.
get back to the top, and then all these younger killers, and everybody keeps coming in, but you never know what you're going to get with a move up or a move down, but I mean, it wasn't bad. I don't think it was that bad. I think he had really good moments and he looked good. And, um, you know, I don't know, there's people, on his ass about his physique and things, but like, what are you going to do when you put on that kind of weight,
Yeah.
So it'll take time to settle in. And, but I think that, yeah, I think it's an interesting go. I think he's going to do okay. I think there's going to be some matchups that are obviously really tough for him, but the guy's a former champion. He's a world class fighter for a reason, so he'll be able to handle it.
And I know that my last question is I know you're a fan of the sport as much as you are a part of the sport. Because of that, I have to ask you about Conor McGregor's return. I know myself, no matter how you feel about the guy, if you just look at greatness and to watch it
Mhm.
unfold like that, it sucks all around. You
Oh,
got to feel for the guy. So, what are your thoughts?
terrible. We all got blue balls off that one. I mean, that
Yeah.
was the first fight for a while where I was like, yes, I'm excited. I started watching the countdowns and I'm like, hell yeah. I was all Max. I'm a huge Max fan,
Mm-hmm.
probably one of my favorite fighters. And, Connor, obviously, like you just said, he's a legend in the sport. He's done more, probably, top three guys that has propelled the sport to where it is, the notoriety you saw. him coming back, what it did, it packed the city, it packed the stadium. You know, the guy could probably sell out stadiums, you know,
Yeah.
still. And so, you know, watching all the stuff and hearing him and listening to him, you know, love him or hate him, he draws you in. You want to either see him win or you want to see him lose, you know. And obviously, you know, I always like a good comeback story, and you know, according to him, he's changed his life and gotten some things cleaned up and
Hmm.
focused on fighting. And so that's always a cool thing to see if someone is legit about that and coming back in for the right reasons. But Father Time is a son of a gun, man. Like it just there is no beating that. There is no account for when things after 35 and fighting, you know, things are just gonna start happening.
Yeah.
You know, you get closer to 40 and it's woof. And then after 40, holy shit, I'll tell you this, just getting out of bed, you can get injured. It's nuts. But
Oh,
yeah, super blue balls, super disappointing. Couldn't have been a worse case scenario for that moment. Now, you know, obviously for business wise, they get to do it again probably and throw it together, and everybody's
yes.
still gonna jump back in and see if he can come back from this. You know, everybody's like, the Connor train's ship. Nah, it really hasn't. Like it'll still be a huge thing. Did it piss people off? You know, flying across the world to come see that? I'm sure I would be too, but it's fighting, dude. You just don't
Yeah.
know. And was that the smartest thing to come out and launch right off the bat? Probably not, but you don't know. And again, ring rust, getting in there, you maybe feel like you used to feel, but you just the body doesn't operate that
And
way
that
anymore.
adrenaline and phew.
Oh yeah. And you know, you saw the videos of him doing that backstage.
Yeah.
He did it, you know, you saw him do it 15 times. And then you just one little tweak. That's all it takes sometimes.
Different texture of the canvas or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the canvas is actually, you know, even though it's cloth, it's super slippery.
Oh
That's
yeah,
why you see
especially like the
guys pouring,
logos.
pouring water on the mat is to get their feet sticky. Like that thing, and in the logos, even worse. So it's dangerous. Guys tweak their knees and all the time on that canvas.
Well, Coach, like I said, appreciate all your time. Great to talk to you as always. I know you already gave many acceptance speeches, but anything else for all your fans watching?
Oh man, just appreciate the support, and you know, we're looking to keep doing it bigger and better and smarter. You know, just keep going, getting better and adding to the team and and just hope, like I said, that the standard has been set now to got to go back out and try to get nominated again.
Well, many fighters to keep an eye on at a syndicate. Coach, thank you for the time. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for raising some ass kickers, man. I know all the
Hey
fans
man, thank
appreciate it.
you.
Coach
Appreciate it.
John Wood, Syndicate MMA, ladies and gentlemen.